Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on June 27th, 2023 at approximately 6:01 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life, and the philosophies of life I talk about are precisely the same philosophies I live by and guide my own progress through. With this in mind, my apologies for being late. Well, quite frankly, I went right through it. I was tied up working on stuff in my office and just missed the time altogether. So I figure here I am. But with that in mind, and of course, realizing that I keep this handy little book and this handy little pad for notes, one of the things I do have to do, where did my pen go? There it is. One of the things I definitely have to do is set alarms to make sure that I actually start coming on time. Because I don't know about you, but if you're trying to do something, you've got to have a schedule if you're going to work with the rest of the world anyway. In my case, it literally boils down to the rest of the world. So, with that in mind, okay, the reason I say co-create your prosperity is this. And the now is the obvious thing. But no matter what you're working on with your life, you're going to have to interact with other people. Whether you really desire to or not is almost irrelevant in this world, because you're not, and there's no thing that goes, no man is an island unto himself. Well, in case you hadn't noticed, this applies to no individual. Okay, even an island is not an island unto itself. Okay, every single individual is interlocked. They are interlinked. We are all part of a much greater whole, even way beyond this world. Now, let me see here. The newsletter I was talking about building, well, I'm not talking about it. Okay. It's still very small. At this point, I have 20 subscriptions going out. Now, if we take a look at the YouTube channel, we're at 507. Okay. So yeah, we've dropped a few. Part of that is undoubtedly because of the fact that I haven't been consistent in the last little while. That sounded healthy, didn't it? Like I get a lot of warning about those. To think I used to drink alcohol like that. Decided that was a bad idea. In any event, a couple of things I have determined. I now have, because somebody brought it to my attention, they asked what other books I've got available. So what I've done now is I've actually got a list of all the books done. Okay. But if you're going to create your own prosperity, the first thing you got to figure out is, number one, what is your idea of prosperity? Now, perhaps it is just a question of you desire your house to be running smoothly. You desire your bills to be up to date. Enough food in the house to last if you run into a small hiccup. And when I'm talking enough food, I'm not talking about 3 years. Okay. I do personally recommend at least a month. Okay, at least a month. Now, I'm not looking at it from a case of, the world goes to heck in a handbasket. I'm looking at it just from a day-to-day living thing. Okay, so you turn around, and that's the first thing I look at as far. We'll try English. Maybe slap herself in the back of the head to actually get the mouth to work. But when I'm talking about prosperity on the home front, I'm personally looking at whether you've got your rent covered, whether you've got your utilities covered, insurance, this sort of thing, and absolutely food in the house. But like I said, I do recommend at least a month of food in the house. Now I'm talking about the non-perishables. Perishables don't tend to last a month. Okay. But I will tell you this, and it was really brought home today. Okay, I was out talking to a neighbor of mine, and one of my neighbors, who was really nice chap. Okay, this is where you don't know how much time you've got left. I may be dead tomorrow for all I know. One of my neighbors, unfortunately, passed away rather suddenly, leaving behind a loving wife and a daughter. Okay. Angels are life. How are you doing? Glad you could join us. Sorry I'm late today. Missed the time altogether, which is why one of the things I've got to do, as a matter of fact, I'll do that while I'm sitting here. The neat little part about it, with this individual, really nice neighbors, really, really positive people. Yeah, and I've already extended my condolences to them, but it did bring home the idea you don't know how much time you've got left. Okay, you may be gone tomorrow. The trick is to live every day as this is your last day. If you've got a partner, absolutely be certain to let them know how you're feeling. Okay, because it may be the last time. Now, I don't mean this in a real negative fashion. Okay, I'm referring to it in just a practical fashion. Now, I spent the better portion of my life really trying to hide from people, actually succeeding in hiding from people. But it came to my attention the other day that if I'm going to make things happen, I'm going to have to become a lot more active at it. Now, let me see here. If I go, nope, don't need that. I mentioned I've got to start setting alarms. So we go to here, and we go, I don't need setup, I just need to pick one. Oh, that one really should be there. I wonder if there's a way to actually change this. Whoop, here we go. See, I'm just learning things as I go along here. Oh, why did that do that? Okay. Now, this is, like I said, this is a live feed. Right. Now, with it being a live feed, let's get, what is that noise? Gotta be a way to make that noise here, but that's okay. At least it tells me something. Anyway, that being done, I'll modify the rest of it. Now, what do we got here? We had Angels Are Life in with the gold, and Nathan is here with the Quantum Show with the silver. Yep, throat's interesting, but that's okay. That's probably because I just finished supper. Now, I am looking for something, and I thought I had it up there. Well, I know I've got it open. Where are we? Not the books. There we go. That one. We take that over here. And now I can go down here, and we go, this is the link to Nathan's show, to the Quantum Show. And I am bound and determined, Nathan, that this weekend, this coming Saturday, I am fully intending on being there to pop in. This is one of the reasons why I'm trying to get things organized a little better. But again, guys, drop in, take a look at his show. If you like what he's talking about, give him a thumbs up. And, absolutely subscribe to the channel and then share the daylights out of it. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you directly, Nathan, because I'm trying to avoid missing things here. Do you actually have my phone number? Like my actual phone number? The reason I'm asking is because my schedule seems to get a little hectic, and frankly, I get scattered. But what I'm thinking, okay, I will have to get that to you. Because if you can give me a ring, not just a text, because text quite often, if I'm tied up with something, I may miss them coming in. And again, if I'm in the middle of writing, which I can't picture me writing, I've only got 23 books and a newsletter going on at the same time. But if I can get you to give me a buzz either give me a buzz or pop into the show on Saturday and just remind me that you're on that on Saturday, I will do my level best to be there. And of course, with that kind of notice, I'll be able to actually orchestrate, because I'll just simply rearrange anything afterwards. So what I'm looking, where are we here? Oh heavens, I'm always tied up with something. That's the funny thing about it, Nathan. I mean, you think about it. Just to give you a short rendition, 23 books simultaneously being written. I now have actually five of the newsletter coming out. Okay, that I'm working on all at the same time. Okay, I'm in the middle of building enhancing the publishing company, and I've just reached out to somebody about getting mugs made. Okay, so there is no show, there is no shortage of work. It's just what ends up happening is I get so caught up, and being temporally challenged really makes it, well, actually, it's more a case of it's almost non-existent. There is never anything there's never a day or a moment for that matter I'm not doing something. It's just a question of trying to keep on track with whatever and with the rest of the world. Now, this is why I say we're talking about co-creation. Okay. Now, I've gone I think when I first announced it was about a week ago when I came out. Yeah. I don't have a problem not being tied down with them. I just have no way of tracking them. And apparently that's a real problem. Just extremely rare. But am I intent on guiding things to grow? Absolutely. Oh, look, we've got a storm coming in. That's been a while. So right now, I'm reaching out to the people I require. Like I said, just reached out today to somebody regarding getting mugs done for Inner Voice. Okay. And coming up with ideas for them are going to be fun. But I figure I've got enough background to work with. But like I told the person I reached out to, they're just a small individual. But the reality is, I've tried working with the big corporations. They don't do what they say. On the whole, that's been my experience. Okay, so that's a pain in the neck. But when I get done here, what do I got here? Whoop, can't do that. Leave that there. The wind blows it away. Got all that out. Oh, I did get that out. Good. Now, the nice part about it with what I'm working with is I am going to make things grow. I'm going to do my level best to get you guys really organized, which may be a neat challenge. Hi, Nathan's going, I may get some sort of merchandise next month or shortly after. Yeah, one of the things, and this is why I tell people, Angels of Life, I've dealt with a lot of corporations. I've ended up spending thousands of dollars with companies that said, oh, we'll help you market. I'll tell you, they have proven to be very expensive and almost unilaterally pointless. So I'm learning it the hard way. But I went into Work BC here to get a little bit of help getting into a program that I know works. And they asked me, what's your biggest physical problem? And I looked at them and showed them and held the camp. I went, this is about explaining it all. So she started looking for ways, and I swear, in my opinion, she was looking for ways to make sure that she could put me back to work for somebody else. Just so happened that as I got up to leave when the meeting was over, my leg buckled and I ended up sitting on the floor under the table. I was fine after it, but I do believe that kind of got the point across that the knee is not going to cooperate. So hopefully that will work. If not, I just carry on with what I'm doing. But I will tell you this. At this point, some of you have already received the newsletter. If you haven't, all I need is either an email address, or if you desire the email copy, or a physical address if you desire hard copy. In any event, I'm not charging for it. For those of you that have already seen it, I've only got 3 locations and 3 at this point, 3 spots for advertising, because I've literally decided I'm only having 1 spot for advertising per 2 pages. And the biggest advertisement will be a quarter page. Okay. I'm not doing this thing about going several thousand different ads. And I will tell you right now, and this is why I mentioned, I've only got 20 subscriptions going out because they only go out by request. Okay. They only go out by request. And the reality of it is, I will be using this as not only for the information that I can send out with it, but it's also being run through my advertising budget, meaning the only places you're going to find me advertising will be on, and this is the issue of co-creation. I desire my empire to grow. Okay. And in order to do that, I've got to reach out to different companies. Now, the only ones I'm going to be going through as far as big corporations go are Yellow Pages and 411. Anybody else that's listening in on this and is going, oh, I'm going to see if I can get some business from them. The answer is no. Okay. The odds are I'm not going to go there. Now, with you guys that I have in the chat room, absolutely, I appreciate your spreading my web and my YouTube channel and what have you. Absolutely, I do. Hence, why as you show up, I tend to pop your site in, and periodically, even if you're not here, okay, because it's my way of saying, okay, I'm going to see what I can do to help you build your YouTube. I'm going to build mine, and it's a tit for tat thing, okay. But right now, I'm looking at how to take my life, because I'm relying on, a very minimal income right now. Although, in all fairness, I'm in better shape now than I was when I was working. At this point, as a matter of fact, come thinking, I think I've got yours. Do I not? There we are. Angels. And you didn't actually remind me of this, but it just dawned on me here. This is the link to Angel's YouTube channel. And again, absolutely drop in, give her a listen. If you like what she's got to say, do give her a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Okay. And then, of course, share the daylights out of the thing. Okay. And the reason I say that is because, quite frankly, if I did not personally feel these channels were viable, okay, and were presenting a positive message or a good thing, I wouldn't be posting them. Okay. This is why, for the moderators in here, the fact that you guys do ask if it's okay if you pop a channel up, okay, that I absolutely appreciate. I mean, we've only had one person pop in here that actually put the channel up, that tried putting a channel up, and they were told by everybody. I eventually had to actually block them, which is the only person that I've ever actually blocked. Okay, usually I just don't bother. You know, because from my standpoint, boils down to this. We all have something to share. We all have something to contribute to this society. And if we don't start working together, we're going to run into some much more serious problems than what we already have. You know, people keep asking me why, why the off-worlders are hanging around. Well, it's because from a xeno-socioeconomic standpoint, this is an extremely exciting time in our life. Now, the funny thing is, I look at the empire I intend on building. Well, the process of building. I've already started. This isn't what's going to happen. This is what is happening. Okay, but I look back to a gentleman by the name of Colonel Sanders. He opened, from my understanding, he opened his first chicken stand when he was 65. Okay, now I'm not opening a chicken stand because, quite frankly, I think that would kill a lot of people. I'm not a good cook. Okay, and I'm not going to play games with somebody's health that way. Some other ways, maybe. No, that's not true. But where it comes to the newsletter, I intend on turning this into a magazine, meaning making it big enough to actually warrant being called a magazine. Now, I don't know how many pages it takes for something to be considered a magazine. But the first edition that came out was only 6 pages. I know the next one coming out is already an extra page larger already, and I'm not even done doing any of the work on it. Okay, so and what I'm looking at this point is making certain that what I'm putting out does fit in my guidelines. And yes, that said, just for those of you that are listening, if you've got an article or if you've got something you'd like to share, providing it is not anything to do with who shot who murdered who, or who ripped who off, or the political venue, we just ignore. Okay, there's enough places out there. If you really want to get depressed about people or really want to lose your perspective on the human race, there's a lot of magazines and news channels that can do that for you. Okay, I will not be putting anything of that nature into the magazine. Okay, into the newsletter. As a matter of fact, where did it go? I think it's in it should have a copy right here, otherwise I'll have to call it up. Here we are. Nice thing about my filing system. Oh, I don't have one. Okay, well that's easy enough to rectify, because I think I've actually got it called up already. Let us see. There. July. I don't have one sitting there. It's amazing. I keep doing that. So how about if we go File, and we go Print, and we go Print, and now it all starts spitting things out pretty quick. There it is. See, the way I look at it, if you really want to get upset by people, you're more than welcome to. Okay. I'm not saying the bad news doesn't happen. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you it does happen. I'm just not inclined to bother worrying about it. Okay, or more to the point, no, I'm not inclined to worry about spreading the negative news, as it were. Now, yes, I did mention a neighbor of mine just passed away. And no, I didn't tell you what his name is, and I'm not about to. That's for other people to deal with. Okay. But from my standpoint, it really boils down to this. if you're looking for bad news, okay, this is probably, this is probably the last thing on the planet to pick up. Okay, but if I go through it, I've got a section here. Obviously I've got the karmic law issue. I've got a section for the paranormal. I've got a section for entertainment. Okay. Oh, I didn't realize I did that. Well, that's an oversight. Oh well. Here's exactly what my sports section has, and this is what I mean. If you're actually interested in sports, this probably isn't going to do you a lot of good. Okay, because my sports section covers this: sports and competitions. Okay, I've got some errors in this first one. That's okay. Teams. And literally, whichever team or individual gets the most points in a competition wins. Individual races. The car, horse, or runner that crosses the finish line first will be declared the winner. Whichever team or individual gets the most points in a competition wins. For a more detailed report, seek out almost any other newspaper, magazine, post, newsletter, or news channel or site. Okay, by doing that, okay, that's the news of the sports section. You notice I cover a lot of the details on which team is playing what. Okay, and then when we go to the other section here that's equally important, okay, we go to, where are we? Career. Yeah, the bad news and crime section. We at Inner-Voice Enterprises readily acknowledge bad things do happen in this world. As such, we have chosen to do like so many other periodicals and other reporting agencies do, and write an article on bad things that happen around the world. So, as you travel around in your life, find another newspaper, magazine, post, newsletter, or news channel or site by which to get disappointed in people and or depressed. That's pretty much where my entire bad news section comes. Okay, Terry, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Again, my apologies for showing up late, but I worked right through the channel. I didn't actually through the time. I unfortunately didn't have the alarm set to remind me. So I'm just going to put this back where it belongs. And I've just noticed some complications with it, so I'll correct that for next month. But when we look at building things, okay, I've got a number of things in the way of merchandise I will be working with. I've already worked out how to, at least in my head, how to go about helping people get your own stuff published. Okay, and I already know with the book, The Size of the Birth of the Wolf Pack, I already know what it takes. Now, with that in mind, for me to put somebody else's work out, I've got to get a sheet written up to enable me to print it without any problem. Okay, but I will break down what it costs. This issue, and I talked to you guys about this a while back, when I got my first poem printed way back, and I forget what year. I'd have to actually track down the book and figure it out again, because the book I had sitting there isn't there, which is annoying. But anyway, when I paid for it, it turned out they made literally $100,000 before they sold a thing. Now, I think I probably did, but I do have to ask you there, Nathan. Nathan just said, I think you missed it. I want to build a Vimana. I think I can do something spectacular. I got to ask, what is a Vimana? Okay, or if it's complicated, I'm going to make a note, because I'm going to ask you about what the heck a Vimana is when I come on the show, just because of the fact I'm curious. There are things that pop up and I'm going like, gee, I wonder what the heck that is. Is there any way to work with it? But, so what I'm doing here, where are we here? An ancient flying machine from India. Oh, wild. He goes, it's a vehicle of the gods. That ought to be interesting. See, I'm personally not afraid of flying. Not impressed with the idea of landing at a high speed. But that is something that I think would be great, especially if you can build it on a small scale to start with. But again, that'd be great. Because I'm just thinking, if it's old technology, there's got to be a way to work with it. Yeah, Nathan goes, oh, yes, I still want a speeder bike, but not to hit trees. Yeah, I don't think hitting trees is a good idea. They're not actually built that well. But no, I like the design of the speeder bike. Thing you got to remember is that when you're looking at anti-gravity, gravity itself, the scientists are calling it a pull. When they figure out that it's actually a push, they'll be in far better shape to handle it. Yes, temperature in here is just absolutely stupid right now. But that's why I've got water behind me, and when it actually runs out, I'll go get more. Eternity, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I really do apologize to everybody. And yeah, I know I've said this already. I end up working straight through the time I was supposed to come on. And it was after 5 when it dawned on me I'd missed it altogether. And my executive assistant turned around and goes, well, you can still go on, just not at the same time. Which pretty much is the way that goes. So I am looking at a lot of different things. And I've got to get in touch with people, get them get it moving in the right direction in order to make sure that everything falls into place properly. But again, now today it was just sort of the case, how do we work together? Now I will tell you, here's a neat little heads up for you, Nathan. The whole idea that you've got here, this ancient flying machine, okay, with the fact that we've got multiple races, throughout the Yldrbac Chronicles, it only stands to reason. Use old technology. Okay, work with describing old technology as a way of getting around. Now, of course, we got to remember, there are critters in this world that I've designed that are absolutely insanely large. And therefore, if you're flying around an ancient flying machine, okay, and you've got an eagle with a 60-foot wingspan, you may come across as snack food. Okay, so I mean, these are just some of the things I'm looking at. But we are making headway on the whole 9 yards. One of the other things I will be dealing with in short order here, as a matter of fact, I've got to get in touch with my artist and get things with both my artists and really start pushing things to make that all happen. I just got a poster completed. The small printing company I use in town turns out great. Okay. Oh, speaking of printing companies, sort of. I am very happy with this. And I'm allowed to because, well, frankly, he gave it to me. This. Okay. Now, the reality of this one is this is one my son built. Okay. He made it for art class. Okay. Now, this is going to find a place to go and hang up on my wall. But he brought that home on the last day of work. I had no idea he was working on the last day of school. I had no idea he was working on it until he brought it home. So I will find a place this week to hang it because I got to rearrange a few things to do so. But what I'm looking at is trying to figure out how to make everything run smoothly. Because I'll tell you, I don't know about you, but I am absolutely tired of living day to day, living paycheck to paycheck. And it's going to be through working with you guys, through working with other companies, that we will be able to turn this life and this world around. We do not have to continue down the path we've been going down. Okay. I am in the August newsletter. I have already started building a word sequence. Just something to fill a little bit of space. But I'm not copying them from anybody else. I'm building them myself. Okay. And again, it was just like I didn't have enough to do, so I figured, what the heck. But you desire your world to become prosperous. You have to decide, what is that going to look like? What are you not content with in your life? In my life, I'm not content with the fact that I'm living paycheck to paycheck, as it were, or trying to figure out how I'm going. So I'm just changing the whole 9 yards. But like I told somebody today, I figured out what my income is, what I require for inner voice enterprises. 80% of my net profit is going back out to staff and clients, and customers. Okay, 80% of my net profit is allocated to go back out. This still leaves me a return on my investment and money to grow my company with. Okay, now I had a real fun time the other day. I was at the grocery store and I noticed a young lady with a child with her, and clearly they were having trouble with trying to just get the basics. So I just looked at the cashier. The woman was right behind me. I just looked at the cashier and went, "Don't argue with me. Just put, don't debate it with her. Just put her groceries on my bill." Right. And of course, as I expected, the woman started to argue the point. And I looked at her and I said, "Look, this is just the way I am. This is the way I've always been." Okay. So and I turned back to the cashier and I said, "Like I said, don't argue, just deal with it." Right. So the young lady, she dropped the subject. I picked up the tab and you could see the stress in her world come down. This is what I'm talking about when I said what I intend to do with the charity side of what I'm working with. It's by working with people, by finding out who is in trouble, by finding out who is actually striving to get ahead and just running into problems. Okay. These are the kinds of people I'm looking to help. And like I said, it's not like I'm a millionaire, but I figured out my profit sharing where I can be making in excess of $1 billion a month and still be able to put 10% of that into charity. And if you think about that for just half a second, okay, 1,000, million, billion times 10, times 0.1. If I'm bringing, that's 10 billion, that's, but, you think about it. If I'm making $500 in a month, that gives me $50 to sink into the charity side. If I'm making 5,000, okay, it gives me 500, and you can bet your bottom dollar I'm going to figure out how to do that. Because to my way of thinking, this is how you start making things work. Okay, but co-creation boils down to working with the people you know, whether they are families, friends, or strangers. It doesn't matter. Work with ones that have the same outlook that you do, that have the same dedication to trying, well, at least a compatible dedication to get things moving. Okay, now, will I help people that are essentially, am I going to be looking at people that are basically trying to use other people to get ahead? Not a prayer. Now, that said, if I just do a real quick calculation, let's see, it cost me that. So if we go, yeah, it is not going to cost much, because what's going to happen is I will figure out a price where I'm actually not giving away the time, but where I'm not making money off of other people's efforts and them getting nothing back. That's just not going to work for me, which is why I've got to do the mathematics on it. Okay. And it really boils down to the same thing where it comes to education. Not everybody learns the same way, which is why when I wrote Believe in Your Finances and Follow Your Dreams, okay, the first thing I got told, one of the people that looked at it right after it was printed, was, can you put pictures in it, as in tables, that sort of thing, to explain it a little more effectively, so that people that don't learn by reading can actually learn and gain from it as well. Okay, so the second printing of it, I'm in the process of redesigning it, and I will be adding that to it. But from here on, with the other books that haven't been written yet, I will be taking that into consideration as well. And it's these things that, if you've got an idea of pieces that could be, that would be beneficial to reach more people, okay, the idea is to try to do my best to include every possibility, every functional possibility. Now, needless to say, I'm not going to be able to do a whole lot with an auditory booklet for people that are deaf. Okay, just not going to happen well. Okay, but people that are deaf, on the other hand, they can read. So when we're looking at getting your prosperity, what do you consider prosperous? Is it just running your household and having all your bills paid? Or is it a question of running a small, a neighborhood grocery store, or neighborhood gas station? Or are you looking for something bigger? Okay, there is no functional limit to what your dream may be. And I will tell you, it doesn't matter what the dream is. If I can give you an idea as to how to make it happen, you can bet your bottom dollar I will. Considering the fact I've helped people with that side of it way before I gave one iota of a hoot about money. Now, of course, the other side of that is, while I am learning how to market, okay, I've got to turn to people like you and go, okay, is there anything I'm missing? Now, right now, I know I've got to get more active on social media. I just finished this past weekend. I just finished the ads for the different books and a complete list of the different books and what they're about that can go out when I send something out. Okay, and since I am working on something to take people into consideration on their birthday and on Christmas. Now, Christmas, whether you believe in it or not, is not my concern. The fact I believe in it is all that matters in that respect. But I have plans in the works to do things to celebrate people's birthdays. Okay, but the only way I'm going to be including you with your birthday is if you get word to me of when your birthday is, because I'm not guessing about it. I can pretty much guarantee every one of you was born somewhere, somewhere. Okay, but do I know specifically when? Not a prayer. So we take a look and you go, okay, where is your life standing? Are you content with it? Now, I will tell you, you've seen my bed before, right behind me here, and I just don't feel like staying up just yet. But I've managed to get all the paperwork out of the way there, which means as soon as I get done here, I go back to writing again. Now, today is Tuesday. I think today is Tuesday. Yep. So I don't know if there's any shows on tonight, but am I going to be working through the night? The answer is yes. I will tell you this. I do have the schematics in my head on an energy on a generator that runs on optics or that runs on light, wind, and water. Okay, all at the same time. Have I built the thing? Absolutely not. Technology wise, I'm not qualified. I'm not trained in it at all, and I'm certainly not trained in electronically. Okay, but do I have it built here and on paper? The answer is yes. Okay, one day I'll go and get around to actually talking to somebody about it. Okay, but I have no idea where to begin as far as the actual physical building of it goes. I know the design pattern I've got because it's literally designed like a mushroom. And do I have it worked out in my head as to how to make it work? Absolutely, I do. But I am not the one to physically build it. Okay. Now, there's a lot of things that can be done to really make things happen. But it's going to require everybody working together, or the majority of people working together to really make things turn around. Okay, one of the biggest things I look at, oh, by the way, these boxes you're seeing gather here, those are empty. Because what it is the lobby in the apartment I live in, they have a lot of stuff that gets dropped off in the front lobby. So instead of having it taken to the garbage, I go down, collect it up, and bring it back, box it, and take it down to Value Village. Now, from my standpoint, I go there anyway, so why not? Right? And it does help keep the place looking decent. This is just one of those things about the way I look at the world. Now, that said, okay, I mentioned I am building an empire. Now, here's the funny thing about it. I'm in the middle of building it. So who did I go and talk to figure out what I was missing? Okay, I didn't go and talk to humans that have built a lot, that many of them have built it on greed or have built it on superiority. Okay, I went and talked to the off-worlders that built an empire that spanned literally thousands of light years. They made some mistakes, but they built it based on keeping everybody working, keeping everybody functioning. And they didn't bother with this idea of, oh, we're just going to automate everything so that it takes less people to do it. Okay, they went, everybody works. That way, everybody prospers. Okay, now who did I go and talk to? I went and talked to the Sarkon, who you would know as Alpha Draconis. These guys built an empire that was absolutely mind-boggling. Okay, granted, they grew it too fast. They made that mistake, and they ended up leaving many of their outer planets. They left them alone. They ended up abandoning them because they didn't have options. But they did learn from their mistake and passed on what they were doing, what they had done to me. Thereby, I'll be able to, on the Terran planet, I'll be able to build properly. And yes, I do have a formula laid out on paper that anybody that's looking to expand your business, okay, absolutely talk to me. Oh, Joe's gone. Next show topic: the different types of female spirits that will make their presence known to you. Okay. Now, I'm presuming you're hoping for both the positive and the negative ones. By the way, welcome aboard, Joe. Glad you could make it. Sorry I arrived late today. It just kind of worked out that way. Where am I here? Just checking to see what time it is, because I'll tell you, my whole time schedule went completely screwy. But let me clear the stuff out of the way so I can actually do exactly what we just talked about. Okay, take you, slide you there, close you, get you out of the way. That I'm not putting out of the way so much as where it belongs. Now that I've got that done. Now, what did I do with my pen? There it is. Pen. And tomorrow is Wednesday. So, and we will deal with that. Female spirit, I will deal with that one tomorrow there, Joe. At least that's where we'll start. How long you'll stay in that department is anybody's guess. But I will open the door with that one so that we can get on with it and so we can get some information out. Because I will tell you, the funny thing is that, you, Joe, are phenomenal at it. The questions you ask, I know for an absolute certainty, there's a lot of other people that have the same question, but for whatever reason are kind of hesitant to voice the question. And the thing is, almost any question that you have, that any of you have, almost any question, somebody else has the same question and just hasn't gotten around to voicing it. Okay, now I'm just looking at this. I'm gotta make a couple of notes here because tomorrow's gonna be hectic with phone calls and emails. Send an email to my artist working on Races of the Worlds to get other art done from him. Now there was a race that I needed, and who the heck was it? If I've got it open, I might be able to tell. It is not open. So let's minimize those so I can find it. That's volume 2. I don't require it. I require volume 1. I should enter that. I am looking for a very specific book, aka that one. Also known as Races of the Worlds. There we are. Because I need it up so I can double check and see what. Oh, I did that wrong. Spotted one just the other day. We were working on them. And I actually had, there's one I noticed that we didn't have the right name for. Well, not the, where are we? Since those are all red, that means they're not done yet, which means we have to go back up to purple because that's where I spotted it. That's a color coding jargon on my part. Okay, it ain't gonna come to me all that quick. And if I don't find them in 5 seconds, I'm just going to have to move on and do something else with it. Yeah, I'll have to look for it later because I'm just not wasting any more time on that side of it. But no, the funny thing is, I'm quite willing to give people, recognition for the efforts they put in. This is why I say, Joe, the fact you come up with topics is absolutely fantastic. Okay, I've got to get a few done because there's a couple I know that are that have to be dealt with. Okay, and if I can think of them beforehand and before I get off, I will just add them. But the one on female spirits that you've asked about, that I will deal with tomorrow. Okay, assuming I don't end up dead or something silly like that. Raven, how you doing? Glad you could join us. How's the computer correction coming? Hopefully it's coming along at least to a degree. Keep that over there. And Just a quick reminder, people. Yeah, we are looking at, I've got you, and Raven, I've got you listed for July 5th. Okay. To come onto the rabbit hole with you. So, yeah, I've got it already booked in. I figured the best way for me to do things is write it down. That doesn't always work for me. But, oh, good. Glad to hear it. Nothing worse than a computer going completely sideways on you. You know, I mean, it's just terrible with the way technology can do that. But I'm getting used to the idea that it just doesn't do what it should do. You know, I mean, it was like I went to buy something today, and I put the card into the POS machine, hit the right password, right, and thing goes, oh, password not accepted. So I hit the same password and went, we're good. And that's not bad, Raven. Both computers fried in the same day. You should try what it's not a question of seeing who had worse luck with them. I have fried more computers just by getting frustrated. I'm not talking about accidentally picking up a virus. Fortunately, I've run into very few viri that I've had to deal with. A lot of idiots, but not too many viri. I gotta ask though, Raven, just because I'm curious, but were your two computers connected even on the same network? Or were they completely isolated from each other? I was asked about it one day if I would ever turn to computers to handle my database. iVoices, how you doing? iVoices just saying, Keith, Mick West, the hardcore UFO skeptic, is going to be on Spaced Out Radio tonight and tick off the entire chat room. That might well be worth sitting in on just to see how dense he is, or to see if there's some saving grace there. But I appreciate the heads up because I figure I've been out of circulation, if you will, on a lot of the chat rooms, and I really should pop in just to see what's going on. But I know when he comes on, so that works out well. But I really do appreciate you giving me the heads up. Now, yeah, Raven, I appreciate that. The reason I asked about the network is because I know with a network the problem can cascade over. I've seen it happen. And Adam, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And by the way, Adam, I don't think you were in here. A few days ago, I sent your hard copy of the newsletter out as well. So I know you've got the one in soft copy, but I sent you the hard copy anyway. Okay, because like I said, for me, it's just literally where it comes to the emails or to the hard copy. It's all right. It's all a business expense, which works out well enough for me. Here we are. Nathan's going, I've been working on a protocol discipline to prevent crystals from killing our machines. Yeah, good luck with that. You've got to turn around. The thing you got to watch for is watch for the vibratory rate. Okay, because you got to remember, when you're dealing with crystals, you're dealing with subquantums. No, but it's easy to amplify them to absolutely cascade, burn a computer out, which I don't think is a good idea if you're relying on computers. I mean, I've got to give kudos to my editor, because I'll tell you, for being blind, she is mind-bogglingly picky and very accurate in spotting discrepancies. It's just absolutely fantastic from my standpoint. So I look at that and go, I can't ask for a better, I can't reasonably ask for a better setup. I've already talked to her, and yes, she is willing to take on extra work, as she put it, on behalf of Inner Voice. In other words, is she likely to do it on her own? At this point, she doesn't have the wherewithal. It's an issue of energy levels and what have you. But we've got a lot of work on the go. And sooner or later, I'm going to end up having to find additional people. But I am pickier than most. And it's just that simple for me. One of the biggest things I've got to look at here is a lot of what I would like to be able to do, I'm personally not capable of pulling off, which is why I'm waiting for information. Now that I've seen what is available, I'm waiting for a phone call from the young lass that I intend on getting to do the artwork and what have you for the cups. I've already found a t-shirt printer that will do what I'm looking for in the way of written work. Okay. It's probably a little on the expensive side. I will not be going with the iron-ons. Okay. I'm looking at embroidery. Okay. It's just that simple. But the trick is going to be getting it organized. And I will be dealing with that one step at a time. But where it comes to you, like I said, and I know I've repeated this multiple times, but the thing you have to remember is, are you content with your life? Are you content with the way that your life is running and with whether or not you're getting ahead? If the answer is yes, then absolutely carry on with it. If it is no, this is where myself and the people in this room, in this chat room, may come in really handy, because I know the people in this chat room are extremely supportive of a lot of things. Okay. I see very little in the way of conflict, and this is great because I've got no use for it. That is exactly what I was looking at. I've had t-shirts that were iron-on, and I tell you, they don't last worth a hoot. I will be taking the embroidery side of it and going a lot further with it, but I want to make sure I do it in the right order, as in get the paperwork in place and then get it moving right. That nice part there, Joe, and I'm not going to go into it tonight, but that is one of those questions that you just asked about. Okay, a succubus is a female spirit that will come and get your attention. Of course, she's also going to come and try and take your soul or kill you or whatever you want to call it. But it's okay because she does it for her own feeding. Yeah, okay, probably was the wrong way to put that. Okay, can you override them? Certainly. You can even sour your own energy so they won't want to touch you. But a succubus is one of these female entities that can be a royal pain in the neck. Okay, especially if you permit them to. So I mean, like I said, we will go into that one in more detail tomorrow. But yeah, I'm looking at, if you've got something you're aiming at doing, like Nathan mentioned that he's looking at, I forget what the heck the thing is called, Vimana. Okay, he's looking at trying to put one together. Okay, I'm going to end up talking to him about that, primarily because I'm curious anyway. But I do find when I start looking on things, I can see a different way of pulling things together. Ouch, just leaving Calgary for Regina. This is Adam. He should be in there around 4 a.m. or so. Do drive safely there, Adam. Okay, there is no point in not paying attention to what you're doing. I just lost a neighbor of mine because somebody wasn't paying attention to what they were doing, and he was on a motorcycle, killed him instantly. It's unfortunate. Left a loving wife and an incredible cute little daughter. Left them alone. Not intentionally. I know the guy. He was not a poor driver. He was actually quite conscientious and really had everything good to say about the world. One of those rare gems that his passing is really going to hit a lot of people. For me personally, I knew him. I got along really well with him, and every single time I talked to him, he was always upbeat and always friendly. You know, and as his father said, there's a lot of other people there that frankly we'd have been a lot better off if they'd been picked off instead of this chap. You know, but did I offer my condolences to the father and mother and the wife? The answer is yes. Well, yes, technically it's a widow now. Okay. The answer is yes. As soon as I had the opportunity, I did. But the reality is I didn't get it on the news because, well, I don't get the news. But when we're looking at your life, okay, and I do that a lot, don't I? I really have to get that. That's got to be one of those notes I got to deal with. And I know exactly how to deal with it. I've even got the stuff to do it. I'm not going to bother with a frame. I'm just going to laminate it and going to attach it to the door itself. Okay, but where are we here? We go here. Mount the Starfield. I've got a beautiful map. I showed it to you I showed it to you guys a while ago. I've got a map of the Starfield that will fit on that door, I believe. Matter of fact, now that I'm nosy, this is where my brain goes sideways. And of course, it's not right visible there because it's right here. So, I grab this little piece, and it should be just narrow enough to fit nicely. I will mount it tonight. Tonight or tomorrow. But it will fit here momentarily. I'm wondering if I can see that. Yeah. Where am I? Yeah, I can't see it that well. You certainly won't be able to read it, but I've got it laminated already. So I'll be able to deal with that within the next day or two. Probably tomorrow sometime. Just because I figured out the procrastination has never worked well for me. But again, this boils down to an issue of whether or not things are actually working right. Okay. If you're content with your life, then absolutely stay on the track you're on. But I will be putting things together as quickly as I can. John Reed, book 2, and see how that's coming. It's kind of funny. I'm getting so far ahead of myself, I'm almost behind myself. And then we have got to do the calculations for the poetic anthology. And honestly, guys, this really does boil down to getting your guys' work. When I talk about this poetic anthology, I'm wondering how many of you actually have a poem that you would like to get in print, but you don't know if it's good enough. I'll tell you right now, the only qualifier in any poem that somebody submits, okay, is if there are two fields that I will not touch. Okay, aside from I'm not going anti-politic, anti-company, just not going there. Okay, but any poem that you've got that is a whole pile of swear words, I'll save you the hassle. I won't print it. Okay, I just won't. And it's not whether it's good, it's that I won't print it. That's me. Okay. Tracy B, how you doing? Glad you could join us. So I will be coming up with a very minimal cost, because I'll tell you, this idea of charging 75 bucks to have one poem in a book in an anthology is absolutely ridiculous. Okay, but like I said, if you've written one that's full of vulgarities and swear words and what have you, oh, I'm glad to hear that, Joe. Yeah, there is no question the one showing that is arriving has no interest in hurting you. Okay, in hurting you, or for that matter, really functionally, disrupting your home life. Okay, quite frankly, I would be inclined to say this is somebody that is actually trying to watch over you, which means it's got to be somebody that was close originally. Now, whether they were close to you, as in really close to you, or somebody you knew, that I don't know for certain. Okay, I haven't looked into it a lot, and this is one of those topics where I look at it and go, there are certain doors that I don't go because this is a very personal matter from your end. The generality of it, that it is not a threat and does not mean any harm to you or anybody in your household, or for that matter, anybody you know. Okay, this is something that's very imperative from your standpoint. That is an interesting way to do it. The other thing, Nathan's just saying an interesting thing to try is leave a cup of coffee or tea overnight and say to the air, "This is for you," while smiling. Okay. The other thing that you can do is if you take a little bit of baby powder or talcum powder, put it on a table that is not caught in wind, and then you set a freestanding pitcher on that. Like I said, baby powder, talcum powder, or cornmeal works really well as well. Okay, and when I'm talking about freestanding, this one absolutely blew me away. But this is the type of frame I'm referring to. Okay, just a simple little frame. This young lass, I have no problem showing you a picture of her. This is a friend of mine. This is a fairy. Okay, and that is a life-size portrait. Okay, but this is Mira. Now, how I stumbled across this picture is anybody's guess. Okay, all I know is this is what she looks like. Okay, and yeah, she does glow like that. But the frame is what I'm referring to. If you set cornmeal on a counter or on a tabletop that isn't likely to get bumped, set the frame on the cornmeal. Okay, and then you literally thank the spirit for showing themselves in a way that you can accept and understand. Okay, but you thank them for doing so. Okay, ask them to move the picture. Now, don't put it on the bedside table or you might bump into it. Okay, put it someplace where it's not likely to get run into. Henry, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yes, I'm running much later in the night than what I was planning on, but that's because, quite frankly, I started later in the night. Okay, primarily because I missed the time altogether. I was so caught up doing writing and what have you, it just missed me altogether. But that's another thing that you can do to get, if you will, physical proof. Okay. Now, I can't show you on here anymore. I don't think. I might still have it on here. Not that I can show you. Where are we? What I'm doing is going through all the different pictures that I've done. Right. Because I've got one picture here that is absolutely phenomenal. You know, it literally shows a die coming to rest on its edge, which was really weird. But I had lots of witnesses to it. Holy mackerel, how many do I have in here? I really have to empty this camera out, or I'm going to run out of room to work with. Yeah, I have no idea. I finally went and scanned through all of them. Yeah, the neat part there, Joe, and to any of you that are dealing with a spirit, talk out loud. They will hear you, and I'll tell you, most of them hear better than what they pick up on telepathy. As in, if you're thinking about them, most of them don't recognize it and certainly haven't figured out how to communicate. But I find when you're striving to deal with somebody that's passed away, you've got three ways of doing it. In all of them, a picture of the individual you suspect it to be, or if you know it for certainty, works out really well. Oh, something behind me I just noticed. Because I forgot I put it there. But you sit down in the privacy of your own home, talk to them out loud. Okay. But when you talk to them in ways that can be answered in a clear yes or no answer. Okay. The second method is take a picture down to the grave, into any graveyard. Doesn't even have to be the one they're buried in. Okay. And sit with that picture and talk to them out loud, just as though they were right there. But again, you talk to them in ways that they can answer in a clear yes or no. The third one, which is my personal favorite, is you take a picture down to the local restaurant and you sit there and you talk to the picture out loud, just as though they were right there. Now, the reason I like that is it creates a bit of a stir. Of course, like I said, I'm a little twisted. And yes, I'm going through a lot of water tonight, but that's because I have to. But I figured it was better to actually, keep the water handy. But the thing is, when you guys have a question, I've seen it happen in this chat room where people turn around and they go, when people turn around and they go, this is the problem I'm dealing with. And just happened, somebody pipes up and goes, here's an idea as to how you can deal with it. Okay. And I cannot stress enough, there are very few spirits that come across that are actually volatile compared to the number, and I'm talking comparatively speaking. Most spirits are of a positive nature. There are the occasional ones, and the obvious one that I'm referring to, when you take a look at Amityville Horror, there's a spirit that has a real hate on for people. Although it is one of those neat little places, I personally have long considered the idea of going down to take a look at it, just because I'm curious. But then, were my father alive to do so, he'd tell you I don't fear the paranormal. These are just things that we have to look at. Now, I keep going to do that. Okay, I'm going to ask a question. Let's see a show of hands. How many of you have a poem, even a little, 3 or 4 line poem, okay, that you have desired to get into print? Okay, it's just a curiosity thing on my part, but I will tell you this: 2 things that I know I'll require is a letter of permission stating that I can use it, and a letter stating that it is your actual work. Okay, because without those 2 pieces, obviously I need the third piece, what the poem is. But there is no way I'm going to be charging $75 for one poem. Not a prayer. I will put an anthology together. Okay, and I have to go and talk to a lawyer at some point, and I gotta set the appointment up. Mind you, I gotta get my will finished so I can go and set other things up. It's kind of weird the way I'm looking at the world. Okay, I used to look at the world going, yeah, the world is changing, and I'm pretty much done with it. But thanks so much to you guys and your encouragement, I've come to the understanding that it really is time to start pushing things. Joe, the answer there, when I was talking to you about talking to her as though she's sitting there, ask her questions that she can answer in a definitive yes or no fashion. Now, where you look for the confirmation is either across your forearms or across the back of your neck is the two most likely places. Okay. And what you'll feel is a tingling sensation, much like your foot waking up. Okay, the stronger the tingle, the stronger and more definitive the yes. So you can absolutely ask her. I would recommend asking her what she looks like. She may or may not remember her name, but absolutely, if you think she knows who you know who she is, absolutely, you start with asking her, "Are you so and so?" And absolutely use her entire name. Okay, if you know who you think it is, use her entire name, as in first, middle, and last, if they apply. Okay, because I will tell you, I was dealing with one spirit. Somebody wanted to get a hold of Dawn. So I was giving her all kinds of information. She's going, "No, no, that's wrong. That's absolutely wrong." I'm like, "Look, this is what I'm getting told." 45 minutes into the reading, she all of a sudden goes, "Wait a minute. There was another Ron that passed away that was 9 years old when he died." I says, "Great. Now, thinking of that 9-year-old, everything I just told you, does that apply?" And she goes, "Absolutely. But I wanted to talk to the other guy." I said, "Well, sad to say, you asked for Dawn. There's a lot of dead people called Dawn." Okay. One that comes to mind is a chap by the name of Don Juan, which, by the way, I don't even know if that was his actual real name or just what everybody called him. But that's one of the easiest ways. Ask them about things that will help you identify either a physical trait or an emotional trait or even a phrase they used to say. Okay, anything like that will help. Raven is asking, can a human still embodied astral project and do the same things to a person as this female spirit? Technically, Raven, that's actually an intriguing question. And technically, the answer is yes. Okay, and within reason. Now, I'm not entirely certain what this female spirit is doing, but most of the time, if it's a still embodied individual, and they're astral traveling, most of the time, it is seen from the recipient's position. In this case, it would be Joe's as a what do we call it? As an intrusion with non-corporeals. It's their only way of communicating. But is it actually possible for an astral traveler to show up and make contact? Absolutely, it is. Okay. However, I will tell you the number of people that can physically do that are pretty limited. Okay. And no, before anybody asks, I'm not going to prove it to anybody. Okay. I've done it, and that's where we're just going to leave it. Okay. I know of a few other people that are very good at it, but they've all got the right mindset that would say, no, we don't invade somebody else's living quarters. This is just wrong. The nice little part of, that is an excellent question, though, there, Raven. When I look at it, the variations that can happen in the metaphysical world are absolutely mind-boggling. And the number of people I've talked to that claim to be specialists or claim to be well-versed, it's like I talked to a staggering number of people that told me ahead of time they deal with off-worlders on a face-to-face basis regularly, and yet not one of them recognized it and was confident enough about it to deal with it head on when we actually had one show up. Okay, from my standpoint, it just boiled down to, well, it's another person, it's a little different, but who cares? Okay, it was funny, a neighbor of mine And I know it makes people edgy. Just somebody that's over tall. Now I'm 5'8". This kid a few years back was 6'7", and he is growing. He's still growing, so he may well be over the 7-foot mark at this point. Now, does he have the muscle build of some of the people that we've seen? No. I will tell you though, I did finally start working on my arms. Because again, whoa. Oh, quite often, it's not a question of getting scared. Okay, it's a question of, Angels is going, did they get scared? It's not a question of getting scared. Startled, certainly. I don't know if scared is a good way to put it. But I do know when I've dealt with astral travel, it's usually been to take a look around somebody's house and find out what's going on. But that's me. One of the biggest things I look at is this: whatever you're up to, okay, whatever you're up to, make sure you're following karmic law. In other words, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Okay. Unlike in the gaming community, where it comes out as do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Not do unto others as you think they'll do unto you, but do it first and split. This was something that our gaming crew actually came up with around the gaming table. Okay. We really did have a bizarre way of looking at the world. I still personally do. The intriguing part about it is most of the people I used to game with no longer, as far as I understand, game at all. One of them has a very viable reason not to. He up and died. And I will tell you that screws up your game plan. But when you're looking at your life, okay, it is time tonight, not tomorrow, tonight, to start changing the way things are happening. Raven, the answer is yes, there are. All you have to do, and well, that was going to be way too simple. I'll put it the way I was going to, and you get to figure out how simple this actually boils down to. Raven has asked, so this makes me wonder if there are any protections you can use to prevent astral company from stopping by. The answer is yes. All you have to do is modify the subquantum magnetic flux around your location, around your primary living area or the area you're striving to protect, by modifying it and turning it onto a transtemporal a phase modulator. What it does is makes it hard for them to get through it, because they either have to match up with it instantaneously to get through, or they're not coming. Because understand, transtemporal means past, present, and future. The way it was put on a show one day is sour the milk. In other words, make it more uncomfortable for them to come into your room, okay, than it is for them to stay away. And that is just simply, in simplest terms, modifying the vibratory rate of the energy around you. That's an excellent way of putting it there, angels. Like I said, unfortunately, I look at it going, well, this is what you're asking. Unfortunately, that doesn't always translate. But this is why I'm really happy with you guys. It's because I'll say something, some of you will get it and you'll immediately pop it up. Okay, which really is really handy. I have the same problem in face-to-face life, by the way. Where somebody will ask me a question, I'll give them an answer, and they'll look at me kind of dumbfounded. I'm going like, well, that's the answer, so I don't know what the other way is. But this is why I take this friend of mine to deal with the government, because she understands how the government thinks, so to speak. I question, But ultimately, that's all you have to do. Okay. The other thing is, if you modify the energy pad, the energy field around the location in question, you can make it from an astral perspective. You can make it almost invisible, where they won't even see it. They basically hit one side of it. Like, for instance, you know, let's say this was the field. It would hit here and immediately be transported to this side so they don't even notice that they haven't covered this area. That's what they've done at the entrance points at the North and South Pole. What's guarding, what is guarding the what you call Hollow Earth. Okay. It's a temporal shunt. Okay. It's actually a spatial shunt. My apologies. Okay. Because what happens is they try and go in from the South Pole. They hit a barrier that pops them out on the north end. You never even see the inside. Okay. And this is just something, and again, this is actually something that I do explain in the Yldrbacian Chronicles, the construction of the inside of the Earth. Okay, not in a geographical mapping setup. Football, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah, I ended up getting in here late tonight. I literally wrote right through the start of when I was supposed to be on. And then when it dawned on me, it was like, holy mackerel, oops. So as my executive assistant said, we'll go on late. You may not have as good a turnout, but go on late anyway. And right now we're holding a pretty stable amount. But where are we here? We are at 7:30 Pacific. Okay, I got about a half hour here. Although I am going to take half a break. Remember I mentioned at the beginning, if I run out of water here, I'm going to get more. I'll be right back. Okay, priorities first. Like I said, unfortunately, I know that my throat is getting dry. So there we go. That's okay. I've been that way a long time. Where are we here? Ultimately, if you're doing that, one thing to keep in mind there, angels, if you're trying to protect the entire place, you seal the entire house except one exit point. Okay, then you start at the back of the house and start clearing it room by room, forcing spirits out the front door or out the front window, whatever it is you desire to work with. Okay, once you've got the room cleared, then seal the front door, but you want to make sure you leave them with an exit point. Doug, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I presume your day has been going well. At least I sure hope so. The nice part about it, see, from my standpoint, I've been tempted. There was one house I lived in We had an orphanage in the attic. We had a witch's coven in the basement, and we had a Black Sabbath group, satanic cult, in the back room. And I literally told them all, you guys want to stick around, knock yourself out, you're more than welcome to. You start playing havoc with my life, and we're going to have a discussion you're not going to be happy with. One of them tried it. And that result was they got evicted. Everybody else was left. Oh, dog, that is absolutely fantastic. Dog's just announcing, I signed a 12-month lease so I can start my life again today. Mortgage and rent. Going to be fun. Okay, dog, we're going to have to change that. Okay, and the way you change that is, he goes, I ain't known for being smart. Now, the question is not, are you smart? The question is, are you wise? Yeah, the ETs, they're a whole different ballgame. And no, unfortunately, I have not figured out, I've not come across a way that you can actually derail the ETs on a static basis, if you will. But I do find it fun having a lot of spirits around. You never have any shortage of people to talk to, that's for certain. The one night, now, I do have a question for you there, dog. Okay, you said you get to start your life again. Any major plans for a reboot? Just because I'm nosy. And if you don't want to share, that's fine too. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you wholeheartedly. This is the thing, dog. I thought I wasn't doing enough. So I've now got a list a mile long of what I'm actually working on. But I have no shortage of stuff to do. This is why I now have a 2-page document covering the different books I've written and what they're about, as well as including the little blurb on the news on the YouTube channel. I haven't done a blurb yet for the newsletter itself. Got to work on that one. The biggest thing that we have to look at is every one of you can have your life rebooted, effective right now, right here. This is the only time you're ever going to be able to do it. But understand something. Let's say you postpone rebooting your life till next week. When you reboot it, it is going to be right here, right now. This is the only time in existence you can ever accomplish anything. So let's get on with it, shall we? Okay. If you're not happy with your life, it's time to start making it happen. Okay. I'm not happy with the cash flow I've got, but I finally figured out how to start making it happen without hanging myself out to dry. Absolutely, dog. Dog says, I postponed for 7 months and got no further ahead for dealing with individuals who try to mess. Whoa, I overdid that. Got no further ahead from waiting. Just do it. Angels is going, oh, Raven. It also works for dealing with individuals who try to mess with your sleep. That's because you're dealing again with energetic overlay. When you're dealing with with off-world abductions, you're dealing with a physical override, which is a whole different setup. Well, let me put it this way, Raven. Let me just double check one little detail here, because I got the book right here. I just want to make sure I don't put my foot in my mouth, because it's really uncomfortable. Let me just check one little thing. Gee. Yeah. Here's a neat little kick with that. The whole catch with that, Raven saying, someone told me that reciting the Lord's Prayer works for repelling gray aliens. Here's the funny part about it. It only works for repelling the gray aliens if two things are concurrent. One, they care whether or not you yourself believe in Christ. Okay, if the Grays have to first of all know that you believe in Christ, not that you're just saying the prayer, but know that you actually believe, and that's an empathic thing. Okay, the second thing is they've got to care whether or not you believe, because they don't believe in Christ, they don't believe in God and Yeshua as Terrans know him. They believe in Source, which is so much more expansive. Okay, but does it automatically work for all of them? No, it really doesn't. Okay, Dog's just letting us know it's cold and raining today. He goes, I have lasagna for dinner. Can't wait. I'm presuming you don't have Garfield, or you're not getting the lasagna. Because we know if Garfield's in the house, you're just not going to have enough lasagna. But that's a whole different issue. I mean, I did like Garfield. I remember the one where Garfield's sitting there, and John goes, Garfield, there's a mouse, and Garfield looks at John and goes, yep, you're right. Doesn't move a muscle. Yeah. Yeah, Raven goes, Dog, I'll be right over. I wouldn't mind, but if I recall, Dog is just on the far side of the world here. No, it was neat. A lot of I remember I used to have when I was still with the ex, we actually had 5 cats, all of them proven birders and proven mousers. Yeah, no doubt there, Dog. I used to swim a lot, and then I drowned, and that really buggered up my interest in getting into the water. Matter of fact, in all fairness, I'm not actually afraid of water, but I've got no interest in getting into it. Although, there is one reason for coming down there. And whether I ever manage it, it's not high on my likelihood list. Because let's face it, I don't travel well. But may I do it a little later down the road? Well, it'd be hard to do it earlier. I know my other half would love to travel. But of course, I don't travel well and she's blind. You can see where we may have some complications. But the reality of it is, whatever you set your mind to, if you're not happy with the way your life is, it's time to start making changes. I'm not content with where my life is sitting right now. Well, you kind of have to. You start, I like the whole concept of Australia. The reality of it is, it's one of those places. My father, decades ago, one of our relatives was down in Australia and passed away, and said he would try that there was 3 million, I think, down there, and I don't know if this is right, but 3 million, I think he said 3 million pounds down there, and this was 30 years ago. Okay, no, it would have been more than that. Dad would have been in his 20s, so it would have been 60 years ago. He had 3 million pounds that would go to whichever of his relatives showed up. And Dad just never made the run. Well, they would have to be willing to move there for a year. Well, that doesn't surprise me. Well, then maybe that. I don't know. Yeah. How you doing there, Philip? Yeah, Niagara Falls is one. I haven't been. I've been to Ontario, but I never actually went to Niagara Falls itself. Of course, again, I don't travel well, so I kind of go one place and lock myself in, and I'll go like I'll find a hotel that it has a restaurant right close by, and that's pretty much where I go. And then if somebody wants to come and visit, they come to me. Saves me a whole lot of hassles because there's no way I'm driving in Ontario or in Toronto again. I did that 1 year. Never again. Okay, way too much stress. You can have it. Yeah, I will eventually find that sort of thing out, but I doubt, with it being 60 years later, that that offer is still there. I'm laying on somebody else already claimed the thing. Yeah, the funny thing there, Raven, there are that I'm aware of, and I don't know if it's been proven yet. There are Egyptian hieroglyphs, obviously in Egypt, in Northern Europe, in Asia, in Australia, and in South America. Okay. Now, I don't know if they've found any in North America yet, but the Egyptian Empire was a sheepload larger than what people have been told. That wouldn't be a bad idea. The answer there, Philip, is I didn't even know that type of thing existed. You know, this idea of hermit friendly tourism. Yeah, I am looking at traveling a little more. I'm not bothering to try and get my passport renewed until after I get back from Texas because I got to go through the paperwork and figure out how to translate it. Me and paperwork do not get along. I'm great at writing, not at understanding government rhetoric. Just doesn't work that well. Actually, come to think of it, there's a couple of people I can talk to that might be able to walk me through it. Because I know I've got to get my passport renewed, but it doesn't run out until the end of October. So I'm good. The other place I would really like to go, if you go to Dublin, Ireland, and you go due northwest until you hit the coast. That was where my fishing village was back in 1828. Actually, from 18 she died in 1828. I died in 1833. So we'd be looking at 18, from about 1810 to about 1833. From 1810 to 1833. I lived in a little fishing village on the northwestern coast of Ireland. Nope. Yeah, that's right. You know, and one day I would like to get there. But again, it's always fun trying to get things organized for travel when you get lost as quick as I do. Oh, I mentioned I spotted something behind me that I stumbled across in the lobby the other day. And that was this little thing here. It's not very detailed. Well, that hurt. It's not very detailed, but it is, I do like the fact that it exists, I've got it. And what is that? Yeah, as you can see, it does work. Well, All it is, in all fairness, is a globe. But, it's just big enough to get an idea. It does, however, do the job. Okay? Which I may just utilize that like I did the tower. So we take this, we put it back up here out of the way so it doesn't fall down. And that solves that problem. Now, what do we got? Yeah, Joe's going, the sunset here now starts to get dark sooner by the minute every day. By August, it gets darker. Yeah, see, we're still at dusk, although it looks pretty overcast. But I'm quite happy with it the way it is. The nice part about it. Oh, yeah, dog goes by 5:30 here, and by 5:30 at night here, it's in the winter. Well, yeah, that's like us. We have the same problem up here when winter gets here, where it's just black by the time it gets to be about 4:30 here. Yeah, that is kind of an interesting way of looking at it, Philip. Only I don't even know if you guys actually celebrate Halloween, do you, dog? I mean, a lot of people up here do. Myself, I don't worry about it too much. Of course, I live in an apartment, so we don't get a lot of people coming by. I usually keep a little bit of candy on hand just in case. But I think the last 3 years we've had 2 people wander by, and they're usually inside. They are people inside the apartment block. Yeah, Doug goes, with a head like mine, every day is Halloween. I swear I haven't remembered. I forgot how to read there, Philip. No, that's not entirely correct. Yeah, Adam goes, we live in the middle of nowhere, so we don't get any kids asking for candy. See, that's when you turn around and give out toothbrushes. The moment kids start complaining about something, of that caliber, it's like, here's something for free. Well, that's not good enough. Well, that's no problem. Goodbye. I mean, I'm a firm believer. Like, I quit giving Christmas gifts to many people because I never even got told they arrived. Never mind getting thanked. You know, I mean, from my standpoint, I'm still a very firm believer. You do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. But when somebody does something nice, be grateful. It may not be perfect. It may not be exactly what you want. But this is why I don't ask people what they want for Christmas anymore. Okay. But like I said earlier, where it comes to what I'm doing with Inner Voice, with Inner Voice Enterprises, I will be working with people's birthdays and with Christmas. But the reality is, Christmas is easy. If you're getting a newsletter or you've bought a book from me, then Christmas becomes an easy thing to deal with. Where it comes to birthdays, if I don't have your birthday, I'm not working with it. It's that simple. Yeah, Philip goes, if a kid wanders up to you and says hi in the middle of nowhere asking for candy, especially the black-eyed children that people are apparently seeing, yeah, it can be entertaining. Yeah, and see, I'm going back to the idea myself. I will be sending out Christmas cards this year. Okay. And you can bet it's going to be a smile. But the thing for me is this: I'm running a company. And the one thing I hate about a lot of companies as they get bigger is people become a number. I do not desire that to ever happen. Okay. I just don't operate that way. Am I going to hit everybody? Absolutely not. I can virtually guarantee it. Am I going to do my best to hit everybody? Yeah, pretty much. Now I know with people I have a physical mailing address for, it's very easy. If I don't have a physical mailing address, I don't work with it. Where are we? Now I gotta dig this out of the way because I'm seeing numbers go by here. Now Philip, I know yours is on September 11th, isn't it? Yeah, I heard about people like that too. I have trouble remember what Philip just going. I heard of a politician who could remember nearly every person he met and what they talked about. I've heard of people like that too. My brother had an eidetic memory. Myself, if I remember what I had for breakfast, I'm ahead of the game. You know, it's just a reality of that. Yeah, dog, I agree. I remember everything. I don't forget too. Mind you, it's like I used to tell people I've got a phenomenal memory for names. It's about that long, right? But I says, and I told somebody that, and they looked at me and went, it's really a good thing you don't remember people's names. I said, why? They went and they went, well, think about it. Just think about it for a moment. If you don't remember every people's names, you get to meet so many new people. You know, I found in a lot of ways, what have we got here? Uh-oh. Adam goes, we had a goat escape our pen in the middle of the night, and I went out for a smoke. Just saw a shadow coming towards me, thought she was a cryptid until she got real close. Yeah, my brother, back in 79, so my brother would have been in his early 20s, mid 20s. 70, no, early 20s. He he had a science fiction collection, a science fiction book collection of 6,000 science fiction books. And he could remember what page and what book random sentences were written and were read out of. Yeah, Philip goes, I've heard that we're only conscious of 2% of our thinking, and the 98% is subconscious. In essence, that's the same thing I heard, but it ranges from 8 to 10% on average of the conscious use of your brain. The other 92% is running on instinct. Now, I'm not entirely certain. Okay, I do know that the information is there, and memories don't go missing, they aren't lost. What happens is the data tree, the access point, collapses. That's where you run into the problem. And I do know when I had my stroke, it completely scrambled some of the control mechanisms I had. Just completely terminated them. Oh, look at that. Well, guys, it has been wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me again. Thank you for sharing your time with me. We've just hit the 2 hour mark here. So I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to say thank you once again. I will be back again tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.